Well, a car that's known as Mr. Indestructible is now in an all-new avatar. Say hello to the new Toyota Hilux. It's just been launched at 31.99 lakh rupees, 3 variants on offer, and we are in Hilux territory to get a quick sample of what it's like out on the road. In this sulfur metallic paint shade, the Hilux stands out even more. Still, with over 5 meters in length and a 3 meter plus wheelbase, it's not like any color would be too subtle for this pickup. Based on the IMV platform that underpins the Fortuner and Crista, the new Hilux gets a modern design language. It adopts a more upright front end design with slim LED headlamps, with LED DRLs and LED fog lamps as well. A honeycomb pattern grille and prominent Toyota lettering replaces the conventional badge. This lower section looks aggressive with strong creases, wide air intakes and a silver skid plate as well. In profile, the pickup gets chunky wheel cladding, roll bars, 17-inch alloy wheels painted in black and a footboard for easier ingress and egress. There is also a dedicated step on each side towards the rear to make accessing the bed a lot easier. At the rear, you get vertically stacked LED tail lamps with C-shaped light signatures, Toyota lettering across the tailgate and a redesigned bumper to complete the look. Compared to the older version, there is not a single chrome trim on the entire car. Now, while the exterior is new and modern, on the inside things are not really that new. For instance, the first thing you'll end up looking at is this manual setup for the climate controls. Now, of course, we love our buttons. We've been basically asking for buttons to every manufacturer, and this is not exactly what we had in mind. The older system of the old gen Hilux was actually very nice. It was basically similar to the Fortuner, where you had these tactile buttons, but you had automatic climate control. A car in this price bracket, you need auto climate control. These manual switches, although very nice to the touch, they do feel a bit dated and old. Below that, you have a lot of your off-road controls, the mode select, the drive modes, the mud terrain, and of course the diff lock settings as well. Automatic gearbox, because the Hilux is only available with an automatic. So if you are a pure off-road enthusiast who wants that manual control, sadly you're not going to have that option. What you will have though is a 4x2 option, which is new for the Hilux now. You get the GX version in 4x2, there's a GX in 4x4, and then there is the VX in 4x4, which this is the top spec version, but honestly it doesn't really feel top spec. Yes, the design of the dashboard is all new, but you have fabric seats, you have a manual parking brake, like I mentioned, no automatic climate control. The seats are not ventilated, and overall it doesn't feel like a new plush modern car, especially when you're talking about 36.69 lakh rupees, which the VX costs. What you do get is a 12.3-inch touchscreen, quite slick. You get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is quite nice. The resolution is good. However, the 360-degree camera is not good in terms of resolution. It just doesn't have the clarity and it feels very, very old. Of course, no sunroof. You only get a lamp up top. You get your basic buttons right here. Steering wheel is all new as well. Lots of tactile physical buttons, which is really nice. Inside you have a fully digital instrument cluster, very clean, clear instructions. So all that is nice as well. And storage is actually quite nice. You get a lot of cubby holes. You have one right here, a cup holder here. You have a nice deep storage box with a 220 volt socket as well. You get a wireless charger right here. But as you can see, if you take your phone, it's a bit uncomfortable and it does slide in quite deep, so getting it in and out, especially if you have a big size phone, that's going to be difficult. 2 glove boxes, quite deep and quite handy as well, and these lovely cup holders that can open and shut right by the AC vents. So if you want to cool your water bottle, that is a good knack. Overall seat comfort is not bad. Yes, leatherette seats would have felt a lot more plush and nice, but adjustment wise, you get manual height adjust and manual adjust for the seats. The passenger seat does not get a height adjust, and the seating position is nice and commanding, good view out the road. Although if you're a bit too tall, then this IRVM would come in your way, especially when you're looking at traffic coming from the left. So you have to basically take your seat a fair bit down and then you have a good view out the road. So not a particularly impressive cabin, with the lack of features being the biggest factor. Now the rear seat is more about function than comfort. So you have a nice wide bench, and the seats have also been reprofiled so you don't sit upright as upright as you would in the last gen Hilux. So that is a bit more comfort that's been added. You have a center armrest with 2 cup holders, and that's about it. You don't even have AC vents in the back. That I think is a miss on a hot day. You need to work that front AC real hard to get some cooling in the back. 2 Type-C ports, a bit of cubby hole, and some space behind the seats, and that is about it. So of course it's not going to be bought by someone who likes to be in the back seat, but utility wise and space wise it's not too bad. I'm over 6 feet, and as you can see, not bad in terms of knee room. Headroom is not a problem either. This seat is set in my driving position, and I'm not really struggling for room. So I think in a double cab pickup, that's actually not a bad thing. There is no big change to the bed size compared to the outgoing model, and we haven't been given the payload capacity either. What is new is the assist for the rear tailgate, which means it doesn't slam down when you open it. Overall, the largest downsides are definitely the lack of equipment, especially considering the price, and the fact that it is more a lifestyle vehicle here in India than utilitarian. Now, while there have been significant changes to the exterior and interior, under the skin, the Hilux remains as it was before, a 2.8-litre turbo diesel engine, powering it with 204 horsepower and 500 Newton meters, made it to a 6-speed torque converter automatic. But what's new on the Hilux is that you now get a 4x2 option, which means if you don't have use for off-roading, you don't need the low-range gearbox, you can now buy that at a much lesser cost. But we're talking about performance. How is the engine? It's not too different. They've definitely done a lot of work in the refinement area. You've got liquid seals for the engine mounts. Basically, I just muted that harsh diesel drone that used to come into the cabin. Now you hear a faint murmur, and as you gain speed, 1500, 2000 RPM, the gearbox jumps to 6th or 5th, and it's all nice and quiet. It's only when you egg the car and press on the accelerator, expect performance, a little bit of that thrum and drone seeps into the cabin, but it's definitely not uncomfortable. Power delivery is nice and linear. A good amount of that 500 Nm is saturated low down. So the pickup is absolutely fantastic. You have that diesel grunt, and once it hits that 6th gear around 80, 100 kph, it is a complete highway cruiser. What the Hilux also gets are drive modes between Eco, Normal and Sport. Pretty self-explanatory, and the difference is quite significant. Definitely noticeable. In the city, you can put it in Eco, it will just dial down the power, become a bit more relaxed and laid back. Normal is actually the best balance, and Sport is, well, you don't really need it because it holds the gear, rings the engine hard, and it almost becomes uncomfortable to listen to that. You don't get a great deal of performance. Yes, it's a bit more responsive, but I think normal mode is more than plenty. The other thing they've also tinkered about with is the suspension. Especially when it comes to comfort and pliancy, they focused a bit more in that area. Yes, low-speed bumps are a bit more damped, but you still have that inherent pickup character. It is bouncy over some really bad sections. Slow-speed off-roading, you won't have a problem. The suspension does not bottom out. You'll never hear that thing crash. But on normal roads, over undulations, over expansion joints, it does move about, especially when the bed back is empty. However, I don't really think it's become too light. It still has a good amount of heft, which is not really a problem when you're going straight on highways. This is actually quite nice. You have that reassuring, confident feel. But in city, twisting and turning this car takes a bit more effort. However, once the highways and tarmac is left behind, the Hilux gets comfortable. Alright, so when you've been tossing around in the car like this, you know you are in Hilux territory. This is what the Hilux feels absolutely comfortable doing. I mean, of course, moving about is something you can't really help, but not at one point do you feel underconfident or you don't even flinch, because the approach angles, the departure angles, the ground clearance, the tires, the electronics, and just that hardy nature of a ladder frame gives you the ability, or rather the confidence, to properly enjoy these terrains rather than, flinch at every obstacle. Yes, the parking sensors have been buzzing about, They've been constantly warning me about every shrub around, but truth be told, nothing really phases the Hilux. Now, like before, the new Hilux retains the 17-inch wheels, and that gives you a good amount of tire profile. The sidewall is nice and large, so that of course adds a layer of cushioning, but is also quite robust. And when you're in rocky terrain, you need all the help you can get. Now, there is an off-road layout set up for us once we are done with this trail, so we will go there and check out exactly how it feels. Of course, it's a curated course, so it won't be too extreme, but I'm sure it'll have everything that you need to challenge or just to see a glimpse of what the Hilux is capable of. The course was shot with a total of 9 obstacles. The first one is the famous axle twister. It's gonna get the car a bit out of shape, but I'm not worried at all. The axle twisters were anything but a challenge and did not even need low-range gearbox. Okay, well, that was easy. Barely felt it. Now we have the side incline, which is quite a bit of a slope, and it's going to be leaning on one side. The trick is to actually just have faith in the car, and yep. Side incline was pretty unnerving given how close the driver window is to the ground. And let's not forget dimensions you have to be aware of. Again, we come to articulation, 2 massive ditches here, and that's going to give the axle some work. Actually 4 now that I can see them properly. Now, the good thing on the Hilux is that you have adjustable seat height, which means you can really get on top and get a good view and just ease into the obstacles. It's all about maintaining balance, maintaining composure, not getting excited. The long suspension travel and ground clearance helps the Hilux to climb out of deep ditches. Next up, we have the rumble strips, a true test of suspension. This basically is like going to work in Mumbai. What you'll encounter every day in the city thanks to our roads. Now, the chassis has been reinforced. The suspension has been reworked as well for a bit more comfort, but at no point have they sacrificed on the capability. Another incline here. This is a lot more steep, and just, well, this is an angle you don't really find yourself a lot in. Angling on the opposite side puts you on a high floor, but what's impressive is how stable it feels with no feeling of toppling over. Seesaw coming up next, always a lot of fun. The seesaw required low range as the car needs to slowly creep up the incline before it slams on the other side. And here we have water wading, 700 mm water wading depth. So plenty over our flooded roads. This was less than a ditch in Mumbai, but knowing that the air intake is pretty high up in the engine bay means you can traverse through much more. And then we have the rock bed, which is quite literally a bed of rocks. And true to the Hilux name, it has survived everything with ease. And the hardware is what taking care of itself. Here we go. Next was the giant swing, which is like axle breakers, only deeper. Swings the car from wheel to wheel. So that is the all-new Toyota Hilux. Now, it does have its strong points, but it does have some weaknesses as well. For a car in this price bracket, the interior isn't really great. You miss a lot of features. The back seat isn't all that spacious. The suspension is bumpy because of the leaf spring in the back and this big bed. But it is here for that core, very niche group of people who like to take their car where no other car can go. If you're looking for a rough and tough, go anywhere, do anything, outdoors kind of vehicle that looks the part and plays it too, then in all probability your search will end right here.